Hosted by Age Concerned Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly, Celebrating Age and Ambition is a network of organisations, providers, agencies and individuals coming together to raise the profile of older people in our society, the challenges that we all must face together, the solutions that we can all offer, and at the heart of it all, a change in our attitudes towards older people and a celebration of age and ambition. This year marked its first event with 800 people travelling to the heart of Cornwall to join our celebration. The event at Kingsley Village in Fradden brought together the key people who influence our lives in Cornwall, from Cornwall Council and the NHS to BBC Radio Cornwall and media groups, from voluntary agencies and small providers of services through to commercial organisations, and included older people, their families, carers, representatives, groups and forums. This was the largest Cornish event to focus specifically on our older citizens.
I think the question time is going to be really interesting this morning because one of my particular bits is transport with the community bus partnership in Launceston. And I really want to say how much Cornwall Council have supported the community buses and to find out a little bit more about what's going on.
I'm on the executive board of Age Concerned Cornwall, and we're just hoping today we'll be able to let people know of all the opportunities there are to make their life, enrich their life and enhance their lives through Age Concerned Cornwall and all the different agencies here.
At the event, Age and Ambition hosted a Cornish question time chaired by Martin Bailey and supported by BBC Radio Cornwall. It offered an opportunity for dialogue and debate.
So if we could start off with Mr. Barnaby Johnson. Mr. Johnson, where are you, sir? There's Barnaby.
How do we bridge the communication gap between the younger generations, and I just don't mean teenagers, I mean younger generations?
Mr. Jarkey, Dr. Jarkey, how would you say we go about bridging that communication gap?
Wonderful question. I do think that we need to remember that you can't turn back the clock, but you can wind it up again. And I think what's very important is that aging begins at conception. It does not begin at any chronological age. It begins at conception. The older you are, the more involved you are, the healthier you are, and age is totally, absolutely irrelevant.
Anne, how would you react to all of that?
Your point that age is irrelevant is absolutely right, but we have made age very relevant. And if you think about all of the labels we give people, whether it's older people or teenagers, we've got quite a big job on our hands really to open our minds up and take people on the basis that we meet them, rather than assume a whole lot of things that go with a certain age or the way that they dress or the way that they behave. Because if you go with a closed mind or a whole set of assumptions, then we miss a lot of the value of human interaction.
Barnaby Johnson put the question. So to you, Tom, I would have to say, what is your answer? Is it important that we see people as people rather than as groups or giving them labels?
Absolutely. At the heart of our new organisation is really addressing that fundamental issue that people are individuals, not a collection of older people. And every piece of work and research we do, people hate being sort of pigeonholed into some sort of category of older person. Everyone's an individual, and the discrimination that is rife against people in later life is clear to us all, in a way that feeds some of the sort of youth culture. Without going on about this too long, just think of all the discrimination that we have out there already. I mean, mandatory retirement aged 65, when people are living often into their 80s, 90s, 85 plus is the fastest growing part of the British population. And yet we're saying to people at 65, frankly, often before that, because the fastest growing area of unemployment at the moment is in the 50 plus category, 50% increase, we're sort of consigning people to very little contribution, beyond their 50s or 60s, when they might only be 2/3 of the way through their lives. Secondly, the knowledge and expertise and experience You talk to people in later life, they've been through several recessions, they've been through they've seen it before, and they see the same mistakes being made time and time again, and yet for some reason, this obsession with youth culture sort of slightly pervades society and media.
Mr. Butler, where are you, sir?
I want to know, why are elderly people and the disabled often seen only through labels, examples, dementia, Alzheimer's? These labels frequently being used to deny them their human rights to human, normal individual care and treatment.
Tom?
Yes, I mean, this is another example about seeing the person, not the patient, or not the age. And I think we have made great progress in areas around cancer and heart disease, to the extent that people live with it and they're not stigmatized in quite the same way that they are in survival rates, etc. But we still see dementia as some sort of feared, strange thing. And of course, the reality is, I think it's about from the age of 11, all our cognitive capabilities start declining a little bit. And that progresses as we become older. We've got a huge piece of medical research going on in Edinburgh University, looking at cohorts of Scottish people born in 1936, who were all tested in 1947, aged 11, and we're retesting them now to understand what happens over your life and the loss of your cognitive capabilities. Always see the person, never see the patient.
When you do put labels on people, does it make it more difficult to deal with them? If you've got a dementia service, or a service that's dealing with people with dementia, is that person labelled? And is the fear from our audience then that other things are ignored or missed?
I think it is a risk. I think we do put things in boxes and silos, don't we? And that detracts from looking at the whole person. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to try and find ways to break those barriers down. And I've been through this. My father suffered from dementia before he died, and I do understand the issues here, but I do think there is an issue about the professional knows best. And even in these cases, we need to try and change that round. And there is certainly in the world of social care, there is a movement beginning with personalised budgets and giving the patient more responsibility and choice over what happens.
Dr. Jarkey?
I think that we've got to go back to Darwin. Darwin got it wrong. He talked about survival of the fittest. What we are interested in, what civilization is all about, is survival of those who are not fit. The whole emphasis on survival of the fittest was based upon a corpuscular kind of muscle-like strength of people who were developing and evolving. But if evolution has to take account of compassion and respect. And respect comes from a Latin word, respicere, which means to take a good look. To take a good look at the person, which has already been emphasized by my colleagues here. Person-centered approach. Seeing the person not just as an individual, but as a unique individual, as this unique person. This unique person.